What's up, everybody? You are now tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hamilton music moments and everything in between. I'm Sick Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson.
What's up, man? I have to ask you this question because I've noticed a trend with you lately, and I have to ask because as a duo, I feel like we should know a lot about each other, and so I'm just gonna ask this question. Did you secretly get a deal with Celsius and you have been keeping it from me and you've been getting money on the side? I have to know because like I've noticed like recently on your stories, a lot of Celsius, a lot of energy drinks. And now you did post a different one recently, but I think you were just still courting different offers. But now I see the Celsius just happened to be on the windowsill, just happened to be facing the camera. I have to know, bro. I gotta know.
I was like, I think I know where this is going, but then it went where it was going, but it just went further than I expected. First off, no, I'm not. The funny thing is, literally this happened because I'm not going to say shout out to them, but that is that. I forget that sometimes I'll post that on IG because on my Snap, I'll like post more in detail stuff, like longer stories, whatever. Long story short, it was simple. I went to Jersey Mike's and I was like, man, I don't want like water because I got water at my job. I'm not paying for water, but I can just bring one myself. I was
Mhm.
like, I didn't want water. I didn't want like a diet soda. So I was like, I've never tried Celsius. I'm probably gonna hate it. So I tried it. I'm like, this isn't bad. So then they have it at my job. So I bought like an 18 pack and then other places had it. So they got like a million flavors, which I didn't know. And I've been trying like a bunch of them, especially like on Snapchat. I've been telling people like, hey, this is this flavor. Try it. Oh, I like this, or this isn't as good as this one, whatever. One of
Mhm.
my boys was like, you should try this Alani company. They have cherry slush. Try that one. I went to like Wawa and I tried cherry twist because I'm like, they're not gonna have two flavors called cherry something. They had two flavors called cherry something. So I'm like, whatever. Long story short, I just started trying them. They're good. They're okay. Only reason I'm doing it because it's just an alternative to water. You know, water is calories. Celsius is like 10, like little to nothing. So basically, I've been just trying low calorie things instead of actually drinking something that's going to be like 200 calories. You feel me? So that's literally all that is. I'm not getting paid by them. We are not getting paid by them. So no sponsorship, no nothing. Just something I've been doing.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That sounds great. I will be watching what you wear over the next few weeks. Because if I start noticing that you're wearing flashier clothes, or start wearing a chain, or I notice anything different about your stories, I'm just gonna pay attention, bro. I have to now at this point.
Well, here's the thing. The only time you'll see me wear a chain, I won't wear it here. I only wear a chain when I go out. And once in a blue moon, like when I feel like stunting on my coworkers, when I actually go to my job when I'm not working, I'll wear like an outfit I would normally wear, but I'd wear a chain with it or something. And they'll be like, oh my God, like he's trying to be fresh. It's like, not really. Y'all see me in like a blue collared shirt and black and blue pants every day. So when they see me in my regular clothes, they're like, oh, oh, oh. But
Mhm.
other than that, no, you won't see me wear no gaudy Gucci, whatever. You won't see me wear that here. Nah, just
Okay.
saying.
Well, just know that I'm on watch.
All right.
But we do have a job. We do have a quote unquote job to do. Um, and that's to review this tape that we have in front of us today, man. We are reviewing Anti Hamilton.
Yes, sir. Anti-Hamilton. Shout out to Tanya. I believe she's the one that requested, for this tape. Once again, as y'all know, feel free to request tapes for us to listen to and review. If you haven't seen us review something, it doesn't mean we aren't trying to review your tape. We might have already recorded the episode. We just didn't put it out yet. So keep that in mind. But yes, today, Anti-Hamilton. I got the dates here. Anti-Hamilton was released March 30th of 2016, which means it was the day before my 27th birthday. So, um, of course, Anti-Hamilton is like, if you see the cover of it, it's like, all right, if you guys know, Charles has, had covers or songs where he's covered Rihanna stuff. You see the cover, it's like, okay, this is like Rihanna's cover of her album Anti,
Mhm.
which actually came out about 2 months before. So Charles did a fast flip on that, so that's pretty cool. I think for a while Charles had like laid off like Rihanna samples and flips and stuff like that. So
Mm.
you kind of have an idea, like, okay, I'm assuming he's going to be doing some Rihanna flips on here, So, uh, pretty interesting cover, interesting name. It's just like, okay, it's got to be something with Rihanna, right? Is this going to be a new awkward series, something along the lines, or maybe he's just having fun with it? So that's what I got for that.
Yeah. When I realized what we were listening to, I asked you, I was like, uh what year this tape was made or whatever. And you said 2016. I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's the same year that Anti came out. Mainly because we've all been waiting for that new Rihanna album that we're probably never getting. Um since then. And I thought it was interesting because Charles typically, if it's a newer album, doesn't do a flip or a ode to it right away. And this one seemed quicker and sooner than most times he'll do that. So I thought that was interesting. Um, how do you remember listening to this tape before at all, or how did you feel about it?
So this is my first time hearing this tape. I didn't
Okay.
hear it around the time it came out. I think by this time, I wasn't listening to as much Charles Hamilton music. Like
Mhm.
there's songs I would hear, like certain songs I'd hear, but like when it comes to like projects, it's not as many I could pick out around this era of time. So this is my first time hearing it. Um, Also, something that needs to be noted was I think this is to get myself prepped ready for this project. I also listened to Anti, which is the first time technically I heard Anti as well, because like you said, Rihanna, that was her last album like 8 years ago. Very successful artist. Just nope, no more albums. Indefinitely, I guess you could say.
Mm,
So it's my first time listening to both. And I'm like, all right, let me see what I can pinpoint between them, see if there's, anything, connections. Maybe Charles is talking to Rihanna on certain songs or whatever.
mhm,
So first time hearing both of them in completion, heard them both good amount of times just to be like, okay, this is where Charles sampled this from, or this is where he got that from, this idea. It's one of those things where I see especially like where he sampled things from. But you know how Charles is. He'll take a song, he'll take a sample, he'll flip it his way, and then he might change the song into like his own thing. It might not always be oh well, this is a remix to whatever. It's just, hey, this is just me doing my own thing to
mhm.
this beat. You feel me? But other than that, I yeah, definitely no one's ever like sent this to me before. So, oh, have you ever heard this before? Check it out, blah blah blah. Until recently of us doing this podcast. What about you? Have you heard this before? Any ideas, comments?
So it's interesting because you know how with YouTube, if you've watched something before and you go back and search it, you see that little red line at the bottom, like, oh, you've seen this. And when I typed it in, I was like, oh, I've definitely listened to this before, but I can't remember when. I don't think it was right away. It definitely wasn't in 2016. Um, I guess when I started trying to build like a Charles Hamilton playlist for myself, I think that's when maybe was listening to it, but I don't have any recollection of any of the songs. Even when I did the first playthrough, I was listening for like, oh, maybe I remember this, but I didn't. Um, so yeah, this isn't my first listen, but it's gonna feel like a first listen for me, basically. So I guess before we get into the album and our review of it, I do want to ask you, how did you like Anti?
So this was pretty interesting for me because when Rihanna first came out, I
Mm,
remember like instantly like falling in love and like liking her music a lot, just being different.
mhm,
First album was like Music of the Sun. She had that Pond the Replay song. I just remember her just being different. I remember being like, yeah, I think I'm rocking with this girl.
mm,
I did that for like the first three albums. I think the third album was a Good Girl Gone Bad. She had that Umbrella song. That's when like she made it. She's out of there now. She's
yeah.
definitely then she was with Chris Brown and everything. Um, After that, I think within that time period, of course, I've heard of Charles, and then it's the whole thing where he's like, oh yeah, I like Rihanna. I like her so much. Here's a mixtape, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Not because of Charles, but I'm like, yeah, I can't beat that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember after that. I would still hear Rihanna songs like on the radio, but I just like didn't really check out her albums. So like I heard the hits and I'm like, okay, they're cool, but it's one of those things where I know all the hits that she had on this anti album, but I'm like, oh, this is this album. Just never actually checked it out at all, because she had like 4 or 5 songs that were on the radio at that time. Just
Hmm.
never checked out the album. Album was it was cool. I think me personally, I still would prefer some of her older albums, but that might just be because like I grew up with them and I watched her blossom as a talented artist and just to see her stardom because I remember people being like, "Oh, well, Rihanna's good, but she'll never be on that Beyonce level like ever in her career." And then you
Hmm.
see where she's at, it's like she's a star, superstar. So, I think that the album it's all right though. It's all right. Not really not every song I really like, but the songs that are on there, I'm like, I see what she was doing with it.
Hmm.
She wanted to be different because that's the whole reason for the whole anti thing. She said that like in some type of interview. She had like a little press thing. It's
Yeah.
like a little press run where she said, this album is, not even not she after I think the good girl had gone bad, she really was doing her own thing. Like that cookie cutter image she had, she like completely shed that. She's like, yo, I'm gonna do what I want, how I want. And
Hmm.
you can see similarities in Charles because Charles has always been like that, being anti. Like I'm gonna do what I want when I want, how I want. And when you have a fan base that can appreciate that and respect that, it makes the difference. So it's one of the things where it's like, hey, thank y'all for letting me be who I am. So, and I feel that that's the parallel Charles was doing on this as well. But overall, Rihanna's album was cool. Have you heard her album before this or?
Oh yeah, I love this album. This might be my favorite. It might be my favorite Rihanna album, honestly. Maybe it's because it is so different. So I had like a similar thought with Rihanna, and when I saw her, I was like, "Oh, I love her." Um, but I listened Ponder. I like Ponder Replay, right? I liked it. I like the song.
Mhm.
But I looked at her, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if this is gonna be like a long term thing. I thought it was, because back then we had seen so many young R&B girls come in, have a hit song, and then not make it. So I instantly kind of thought of who's my girl that does Dip It Low?
Christina Milian.
Christina Milian, right? I was like seeing her come in. I saw A Marie come in. Like I was seeing like a lot of these R&B girls come in and then had that one hit and then just fizzle out. And maybe not to a doing of their own, maybe due to, look who you have to be compared to. Like I said, Beyonce was like in that same area, so it's like kind of hard to like do that. So I saw that Pond Replay song. I was like, I don't know if that's gonna get it done. But then you just see her over the years as she got the albums, and then like I said, when she said that good girl image or whatever, and she kind of got to be her authentic self. She was out of here. It was a wrap for that after that, right? So I love Anti. I think it's a good amalgam of like different genres and different like sounds and types. A lot of my favorite songs of hers is on here. Um, yeah, and Rihanna just has that certain sex appeal that's a little bit different than most other girls. I think she has what I like to call that the stare. So like if she stares at you, you're like, oh, it's like kind of like Medusa, only like you don't get well, you don't turn rock hard, but something, you get what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
and Rocky gets what you're saying too, because obviously, two
yeah,
kids,
you
two of
know,
the things.
back to back. Um, but yeah, I did like Anti. Anti's a good album, so this is one of those things where it kind of gets a little dicey because you know how I do. It's a comparison type thing. I have to compare it to the work that it's being compared to. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens here. So I'm excited. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. The first song, the intro, is called Reassurance Policy. Re is spelled RIH as Rihanna's beginning name. What did you think about this song?
All right. So first comes on, first song of the tape. You hear it's work, flip of work with
Hmm.
Rihanna and Drake. Especially that song, 2016 song was everywhere. You
Couldn't
know what I
escape
mean?
it.
Couldn't escape it. So I will say this. Charles probably picked a good time to flip this project because, 2 months in, that's a good time to get your remixes in and out of
Yeah.
there. Because by the time people get tired of it, like let's say like 5, 6 months later, people might be already tired of it. Not saying it's not going to get played, but they're probably tired of it already, you know.
Hmm.
So, and then he says at the beginning, "Hope y'all ain't tired of this yet," you know. So when it first comes in, I'm like, "All right," you know. He's just where he's just flipping it. I'm like, "Okay, cool," you know. And then he does a little bit different, you know, type of flip with it. Because in my head, I'm like, I'm thinking of all when I was going out certain places and I heard people flipping it and different remixes of work. I'm like, okay, so Charles is doing a different type of flip. It's his thing. All right, cool. And then the beat comes in, and I'm like, all right. He's rapping. Then the hook goes. He's you know basically the hook sounds like he's talking about just he says he can't fall in love because he has to work. He has to focus
Hmm.
on work. So I'm assuming what he's talking about. It might not be Rihanna, but overall, like, hey, with the music, he has to focus on the music, pay attention to the music he's making, and keep creating. Like he would want to fall in love, but of course we know how Charles is. He's more in tune with falling in love with the music because
Hmm.
that's his bread and butter. He has to focus on that, not the actual physical love that we as humans would love to have. Um, Overall, I don't think the song is for me. So I heard it and I'm like, eh. It's one of those things where like you hear the song work and it's like, okay, you've heard a lot of people have done a lot of things with it. And it's like, okay, sounds like an easy layup. And then sometimes I think with real popular songs, it just doesn't work all the time. Sometimes you might flip it and it just doesn't, it just, you know, some songs, not that it can't be flipped, but it's like, just nah, it just doesn't work out. So, and I don't knock Charles for trying. You know, it's just one of those things where you're not always going to bat 1,000, and sometimes certain songs are just cool with just being that song itself, and sometimes they're not as great as being remixed. Because I'm thinking about it, I don't think there was a lot of remixes I wanted to hear of work, even when I was out at the bar and stuff like that. I'd hear like someone do like a EDM flip of it or something. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, just play the regular song. So I think that song was just that song was so big, especially me listening to this 8 years later after it came out. I'm like, nah, I'm not feeling it. Like I said, the hooks, the hooks okay, I guess. The verses, you know, all right, but and just not for me. I'm just not interested, you know, just didn't pull me in. So but I'm like, hey, you know, it happens. So overall, not for me. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think you kind of echo a lot of what I thought about the song. The flip is cool. It's a cool little flip what he does, and uh, I like the words of the hook. I don't know if I like the execution of the hook. I guess is what I'm getting at. It's okay. The verses are they're there. I don't know. I think it could be that the record's so big, it's one of those ones where it's like you gotta just leave that one alone, unless you're doing like a just full on remix, right? Or like you're doing a freestyle. It's like, oh, she does the hook, and then I just freestyle over it, and that's it, right? And you can get it off that way. I think when you're trying to make something new of something this big and this large, and this what's the word I'm looking for? This global, because that song played everywhere. You could play that in black club, white club, bar, lounge, wherever, right? College campuses, it was everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So like that those type of songs where it's like you have to go above and beyond that, but you kind of have to keep the same essence of that song. And what Charles does a lot is he'll take a song and he'll change the essence of the song. And by changing the essence of the song, it loses what made the song great in the first place. You know what I mean? So it's just it's not the best way to intro the tape. I don't know if this is one of those things where like if I actually know, I do know. No matter where you put this on here, I don't think it's gonna fit right. That's me personally. Um, Actually, the one I wish it would have intro with is next, but we'll get to that in a second.
Right.
But yeah, it's just it's like I said, it's not for me. And he just we talk about it a lot, and I haven't talked about it in a long time, but I just hate when he peppers in that one word just randomly It's like it's for no reason. You know what I'm saying? It's usually for no reason. Like in context of what the reasons that he gave us, when he used it in some songs, you're like, okay, I get that. But this one, there was no reason for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it immediately just shuts you off to the song or whatever. So
Yeah.
it just it didn't make sense for me. I'm like you. It just didn't. It's not for me.
Yeah. Overall, I'll say like this. Of course, let's say someone like in basketball terms, right? Like Steph Curry, there's the meme of him. He'll shoot from anywhere and it's good. You know what I mean? Most of the time it's good. He'll just turn around. You won't even look. With Charles flipping songs and you hear how he works the song, it's like, it's probably gonna be good. You only have to really check it. But
Mhm.
then every once in a while stuff misses. You know what I mean? No one makes all the shots. So then you see it, it's like, oh well, I expect him to make that one. Normally he makes that one, but it happens. But yeah, it is what it is.
It just shows that you're human sometimes, bro. You can't make them all. It's just this is not how it works.
Yeah.
Next up is Charles Hamilton Considered. This one I liked. I really like. I'm gonna be honest. It's probably my favorite on the tape. I would
Okay.
love for this one to actually intro the tape because I think that this one takes the song from the album, kind of keeps the essence of the song and doesn't flip it too much. Um, and I just like what he's saying on the track. I like the way it flows. I like the hook. I like everything about it. Everything just feels balanced. The only thing I wish that was different on this song is if you're not listening to it in headphones, the beat is kind of loud, so you really have to focus hard on the vocals because it's a little off balance there. But other than that, I really like this song. Definitely my favorite song on the tape. Um, yeah, I really like this one.
Living is livid because I'm living again. Telling niggas not to return cause I got pot to burn. Honesty considered when you listen now. Honesty considered, is this really your style? Honesty considered, do you really get down? Honesty considered.
So I'll say this. I I like that it's at the second spot because I feel like this is where it's supposed to be at. There's certain songs that you have, like we always talk about, oh, what should start a song or what should end a song, but we never actually talk about what should be like the second or third song, because
Mhm.
those matter too. Because you could have a great intro and then you could shit the bed with the second song, whatever. And let's say if you have a bad intro, but you bring it back with the second verse or the second song, it's like, okay, that actually just keeps you engaged because
Mhm.
there's a lot of albums I could think of right now, just like from other artists where I'm like, I'll skip the intro just to go to the second song. You feel
Yeah.
me? So with this, beat comes in, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, he brought it back. And we've talked about that multiple times where I'm like, yeah, I wasn't feeling this one, but this next song. Okay. Beat was fire. And like it was heavy, knocking, you know. And the one thing I will say is you hit the nail on the head. I listened to this while I was at work, where I just had like one earbud in, and then also listen to it in the car. And also I'm like, you know what? Let me actually do both earbuds when I'm not working. I can focus on the music.
Mm.
So my biggest knock on the song is the mix. The mix could have been better. I do like his flow and what he's saying on the song. The issue I have is when I listen to it with one earbud and in the car, it's the beat's definitely loud, but it's louder than the verses sometimes. So
Mhm.
if you're sitting there and you're focusing, then you could be like, okay, I can hear what he's saying. It's like the vocals need to be turned up a little bit more. That it would have probably fixed it. At the same time, though, the issue I had was when I put both earbuds in. Like, my last time listening to this, I had both earbuds in. When you go from the first song to this one,
Mhm.
I thought like the volume got changed or something like that. Like I
Yeah.
always have my sound all the way up. So I went from the first song, okay, that one's mixed, pretty well. I can hear everything. It's fine. I thought someone did like a full blast on my eardrums. I'm like, this was not that loud.
Yeah.
So with both earbuds in, I'm like, the beat's too loud now. Now that's too loud. And like I said, I could hear Charles going, now I feel like if I could turn down the beat a little bit. So the mix on there is kind of so I would have to say I need him to turn the beat down on that a little bit and then raises vocals to kind of equal it out. You know what I mean? It's just beats too loud. I love the beat though. Not gonna knock that. The beat's great. It's just too loud for the vocals. And like I said, to the point where like I got a little bit of the worst thing is when you're mixing, if your beat's too low, of course, it's like, okay, well, I can't really hear the beat and it messes with the sound of the music. But at least if you have earbuds, cool. If your beat's too loud and you already put it out, you turning it down, yeah, you can do that, but at the same time, you can't blast it now. Now you can't blast it. So it's like, back to the song though, other than the beat. Um, I I was okay with the hook. I thought I expected a little bit something different from the hook. You know, like I like the verses are cool. The hook, I'm like, I expected something a little bit different. Um, I expected a little more. So overall, the song's okay, but it's like okay, the flow's cool, the verses are cool. Hook, a little bit more was desired. You know, the beat, nice beat, it's too loud. So it's like I want to like it more, but it's one of those things like it ends up just being dampened by that. So overall, it's okay, you know. But I think if those things were tweaked, then I would like that song a lot more than I do now currently.
Okay. Uh, Hollow Minded. What about that one?
So that song, the intro, you know, Charles says, makes him feel good that Rihanna smokes weed. And I'm like, y'all know my stance on weed. You know what I mean? I don't smoke, but that's one thing that I was just like, just because I remember when Rihanna, like I said, when she first started doing her good girl gone bad thing. I'm not saying women have to have a squeaky clean image, but I think that shit like was like a 180 because Rihanna was just chilling, you know, doing her thing. She was showing a little bit of a sultry side at first, and then I feel like we blinked, and then all of a sudden Rihanna's like smoking, doing drugs, all this crazy stuff, wilding out, you know. And some of that's appealing at the same time, though. I'm like, yo, she's wilding. You feel me? So when I first heard the song, I'm like, oh man, because it's that Desperado song. I do not like that song by Rihanna. I remember I would hear it. I'm like, oh God. So I'm like, man, Charles might have to he might have to do like you know, a Hail Mary with this one. But
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, Charles have done that where there's songs I don't necessarily like, but he flips them. And I'm like, okay, well, I like it. I like this song. I just don't like the original, you know.
Right.
I will say this. I like this song more than I like Rihanna's song. So I was just like, okay, well, he did something different with it, you know. Beat was cool. I like how he flipped the beat. The one thing that I have to take away from it, so there's a part where he's chopping it. It's like the gotta get. That part, I'm like, I think it's a little too much. I'm like, he probably should have just left it how it was, you know, just how the beat was just boom, boom. I was cool with that, you know, and then the flow, how he wrote the beat and all that. I'm like, that's cool, you know, I'm rocking with that. The hook's cool. I don't have a problem with the hook. Um, like I just think he should have kept it a little bit more simple. Uh, one thing he says in the song, he states that he no longer wants to appeal, and that's important because we said earlier the album Anti was kind of about that. You know, I don't need to appeal to the quote unquote mainstream. It's like I am mainstream, but I don't need to appeal to them.
Mhm.
Charles, at this point in his career, you know, hey, I already been on 2 labels. I need to, you know, just find my core audience. I'm not really trying to appeal to everybody else. I don't need to do the mainstream thing. I need to focus on me and myself. So it's like, hey, that's respectful. You know, there's the pluses and minuses of that. You know, hey, if I don't do the mainstream sound, there's going to be people that I'm just not going to have access to. At the same time, if I just do my own thing, the people I really care about and the audience I really want, they'll be here for me. You know what I mean? So hopefully they champion me as they should. Overall song is eh. It's it's okay. It's one of those things where the last 2 songs it's been like there's this and then there's this. So there's things it's contending with where it's like, oh, I like the beat for this, but then the verses aren't that great. But then I like the verses for this, but then the beat's that. So it's one of those things where this is technically I like considered the last one better. It's just the beat was too loud. This one, the beat's okay. and the flow was better, but the beat, the chopping on that one part, I'm like, man, I could have done without that. He should have just kept it how it was. I do know certain artists, they hate static beats where it's just the same thing, throughout. They got to have some chops in there, some differences. So that might just be a personal gripe with me. But overall songs, it's What about you?
Yeah. It's here. It's just here. I know when I was listening to this tape, I was trying to figure out like, ooh, which bucket am I putting this in? And as I was going through it, I went through the intro of like, yeah, this is over here. Consider it's over here. Based off of that, but based off of how the rest of the tape went, I'm pretty sure I put this right around where reassurance policy is. I guess better than reassurance policy. Um, but it's still, I don't think it's something I'm going to search for. It's one of those fun trivia things like, oh, remember the time that Charles flipped Desperado? Like, oh yeah, I remember the song. So I'll have that nugget. But it's like I'm not a fan of the song. It's okay. Like the beat's crazy. I don't really notice the chop thing as much. I think because like we know that Charles does that, where you're like the beat will be regular for like the whole time and randomly just right here, like you'll ask like, why'd you do that? But he just does that sometimes. Just even if it's just like normally it's at the end, like the last hook or whatever, and then he just adds in like an extra chop or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's not that memorable of a song as a whole. The beat's cool. Um, yeah, it's here. Like I said, it's just it's here. We have I Let You Go next. I like that one. I like that one. I like the song composition of this one. I feel like this one feels like a song, like more than the other one. Probably the most that it's been so far, because this one has a better hook, maybe than Considered. I may not like the verses more than Considered, but I do like the hook better here. Um, Another good flip. I like what he does with this overall. It's weird because like the title of this song really should be the title of the next song, because I feel like he says that in the next song, or like something similar of that, like letting go or something like in whatever. Um, but I like this one a lot. It's a better song than Hollow Mind. Is better than Reassurance Policy. So right now, again, this tape is very balanced, and that I dislike two. You know what I'm saying? So it's I see what he's trying to do with the whole anti thing and anti Hamilton, really. And really, what does that mean? Is it mean I'm anti myself, or is it just the Hamilton version of anti? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to figure out where he's going with it in that perspective. But as far as like the flips and stuff, they're cool, and I like them. So this song is good. I do like this one.
To the thing you just said about anti-Hamilton, what would that mean? Me personally, I was thinking it's just as simple as, hey, Rihanna's album was anti, this is anti-Hamilton, my version of anti. That's how I feel about it. But of course, there has been some times Charles has been like, okay, this album does mean this, but then it also means this, and I'm also referencing this, which also references that, which also references. So that's something, Charles, you can answer for us. I didn't get to say this earlier. While trying to research this tape, there wasn't much out there, as at all. So I want to say around this time, I think from 2016 to on, unless there's like blogs that Charles had and maybe they've been deleted, there's not much out there for us to know, okay, why he chose this, what he chose about it, and his explanations. But back to I Let You Go. Crazy song. He sampled James Joint by Rihanna. Crazy thing. So recently, within the last like 2 years, and like I said, I just heard this. So I remember I flipped that song, and my song was basically just about, how y'all know I don't smoke, but I made a song basically flipping that song saying, for the people that I don't fuck with anymore, I would rather smoke, and y'all know I don't smoke, but I'd rather smoke weed than hang out with fake people. I'd rather do that. If I had the choice, hang out with fake people you don't like anymore or
Yeah.
smoke weed. And it's like, I guess I'd rather smoke weed. Fuck y'all. But I thought I did like a good job on my version.
Yeah.
I hear this, I'm like, God damn it, Charles. It's like that shit is crazy. So this is definitely my favorite song from this
Okay.
project.
Yeah. I'm not
It,
mad at that.
yeah, instantly my favorite. The way he flipped it, great. The verses, I feel like the verses just make sense with the song. The hook makes sense. Um, to me, this song sounds like it should have been on like an awkward tape. You know, maybe not the first one, but maybe like one of the second or third ones. It has that feeling of, you know, of something like he could have put on like an awkward tape, like as a hidden bonus feature or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, he says, I'll let you go. He's talking about in the hook about, dropping the love he had for some girl. Could be Rihanna, could be somebody else. Um, it's it's my favorite, definitely my favorite, just bar none. I definitely heard this a lot and kept replaying it over and over just to, hear certain things. I'm like, nah, I definitely like this. I like the way he flipped it. I like everything he did with it. Almost everything. Near the end of the song, I think he plays like the piano a little bit.
Yeah.
I could do without that. I feel like if he just let it like play out, fade out, just like normal, would have been fine. But that doesn't mess up the song for me at all. I'm like, I could just do without that. But other than that, love everything about it. I best song for me. It's one of the things where I'm like, we're halfway through the tape now, but I'm like, this is definitely this is the one right here. So really good song. Really good song.
Misconceptions, deadly missing letters. I gotta get it together. I spit like the weather, which is to say that I'll be spitting forever. But when the sun is missing, you'll be stuck in one position, frozen, wishing for a golden opportunity to stop it. Not the usual of you and me, just God and His truancy.
Next up we have Say What Karaoke. Um, I'm trying to remember if I wanted to like this song more than I did. I feel like I did, but there was something off about it. I think I didn't. I don't know. I'd have to. You know what? You talk about it first. I'm gonna do a quick re-listen real quick, and then
Okay,
I'll let you know what it is.
okay, got you. So say what karaoke. Uh Instantly sounds just like the original song for the most part. So I'm like, okay, he didn't it's cool sometimes when Charles will flip a beat and then he won't change too much about it because sometimes you don't need to. Beat's cool, I like it. I know for Charles, and I think the first or second verse, he's like defending his music to the label because you know how it is with him, especially at that time. It doesn't matter if it was Interscope or if it was Republic, but it's the whole thing of like both labels probably telling Charles, having the same conversation. Hey, we know you're a talented individual, you're making music that, for the most part, we can believe in, but we need to get more people out there to listen to it.
Mhm.
Like it's the numbers, of course, as artists, everybody hates that. Like, stop paying attention to the numbers so much, but it's like that's what they run by. But Charles is defending his music, saying, "Hey, man, my music isn't garbage. It's good. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm saying. I know how to make hits and whatnot." So this song sounds more like Charles is just explaining to the fans and also the labels, like, "Yo, I still got it. I know what I'm doing." Um, of course, just needing to be more consistent. Charles has heard this a lot, and he said this on certain songs before, where people are telling him to focus more or just be more in tune. Usually, that has to do with the freestyle or writing in his head and
Mhm.
writing more. Um, in the hook, he says, something is possessing him and controlling him, but he doesn't want to let it go. Overall, I think it's a good song. Like I said, I like the beat and I like what he was doing. Like it's sometimes Charles will just have those songs where he's just venting or just talking about his feelings and he just wants to, get something out there. Like this, I won't say it's like a nothing song, but it's more like, hey, just let me vent for a few minutes about what's going on. And this is like the turning point, I would say, of the tape because with this song, he just like I said, he sounds down, but it's like a thing of like, I want to do better. I want to give you guys more or whatever the case is, but something's holding me back. And of course, he's talked about it before about, stuff that's on the left or going too far left that's not letting me tap into maybe my full potential and stuff I want to. But overall, I think the song's cool. Like I don't have too much of a problem with it. It's a simple song, but simple sometimes is just effective. You know, you don't have to do too much. So I feel like he didn't do too much, and that was the best thing for this song. So cool song, cool song.
Yeah, and in the beginning of the song, he does say that I like to keep things simple, and I think that's what this song does. If this isn't the song I was talking about, I actually do like this song. I think the first time I listened to this one, I was like maybe kind of indifferent to it. And that could have just been from the up and down balance of up and down roller coaster of the tape so far, of how like I was like, whatever. It's a decent song. I'm not the biggest fan of the hook. Um, I feel like it could have been executed better, but I do like the verses and what he's saying on the songs. You had mentioned that the last song could have been an awkward song. I feel like that about this one, not in the lovey-dovey type of way, but the vibes of it does kind of like a darker type of awkward song. So yeah, I like this one. I love a good guitar too, like a little bass line like thing at the end or whatever. So it's a decent song. It's a decent song. If I had to be like, oh, what's in my top three? Obviously it would be considered number one. I'd have Let You Go number two, but this would be number three. I think this would be the third one if I had to pick a third one. It's a decent song.
I get you. Real quick, the thing you said about this song could possibly be on like awkward. That's true because I remember on the first awkward, Charles sampled I think it was Rihanna's song Rehab, that song with her and Justin Timberlake.
Mm-hmm.
And that song didn't have like the awkward feel to it, you know. He
Mm-hmm.
sampled Rihanna, but that song was more about like his relationship with his mom and you know how troublesome that can get
Yeah.
sometimes. You know? So sometimes like awkward doesn't always have to be it's a love song or whatever. It could just be like I said, it's the feel of that song, and I can see that too. So I could agree with you on that one. You
Closer Than Ever is the penultimate song of the tape. How you feel about that one?
know? Okay, closer than ever. It has like that piano playing, and it's like kind of like as soon as you hear it, it's like okay, if you heard anti, you know exactly where it came from. So I'm like, all right. It has that serious tone to it. It's like it sounds like Charles is upset and apologetic, but it's one of those things where again he might be. I won't say he's venting as much as this one, but wanting to express his feelings. So because it kind of sounds like maybe something fatal happened or something very serious in nature happened,
Mm.
and he wasn't able to fix it. Kind of like in certain games, if you didn't get, like, say, Sonic, you didn't get all the Chaos Emeralds or whatever in time, and like, you're going to get like the quote unquote bad ending, or you're not going to get the best ending. Um, Charles sounds centered, he's able to get his thoughts out well. He just wants to, you know, just speak on, how whatever relationship happened, because like, yeah, what Rihanna's, I'm sorry, I sampled this, it was free, but I didn't get the, whatever. Yeah, but sometimes when negative things happen, that brings you closer to people. That's not always the thing you wanted to do, but it's one of the things Charles just explaining like the relationship with whoever, and it's like we're closer than ever, and it's like sometimes these negative bouts or these situations make relationships stronger. So hopefully we can work past this and move on. So overall, I think the song's okay. It's one of those songs where not one of my favorites, but it's good though. I think it's a good song. Sometimes Charles will have those songs where he's not, doing a lot on it, but it's like, hey, I just want to, once again, I want to get my frustrations out or vent about this type of situation, this specific situation, and just leave it there on the song. So overall, I think the song's okay.
I don't dislike the song. I just don't like the song.
Right.
Just like it's cool. I understand what it's doing. Like you said, hmm. It's like you said, he's the last two songs feel very venti, right? In fact, if you really look at the last three songs of this tape, it's kind of like a self-reflection in a way. Because it's almost what it's like? It's like It's like the caterpillar to a butterfly thing. Or for my Pokemon fans, it's a Caterpie to a Butterfree in this situation, right? Caterpillar is the song before, you know what I'm saying? Hey, just get my venting out, but I still got it. I just need to, I need to rebuild myself, which leads him into the cocoon state. He now, I'm self-reflecting on myself on like, whatever about, I wish I could have done this. Shout out to Mo Cone 5. They had the lyrics into one of the verses in here. I didn't have to pay. It was one you were basically referencing. I didn't have to pay. I'm sorry, but passion led you my way. If that wasn't enough to make you stay, then maybe I gotta retire and lay. So it's kind of like a self-reflection of like all the, of whether it's Rihanna or not, or just like past stuff that he's done and, kind of is reflecting on what he's been through up to this point. That's him in the cocoon state. And then obviously the title of the next song kind of it's the Butterfree or the butterfly moment of the tape. So from that perspective, I like that. I like that idea, that kind of trilogy to end the tape. But as far as the song, I have no emotional connection to it at all. I feel like he's done this type of song better in a different, different tape, different era, wherever, how you want to look at it. I just feel like he's done this song better. And I don't know, the beat just feels too melancholy for me. Like too, I don't know another word, not poppy, but just like too melancholy, too like down on my luck or whatever. And I didn't anticipate that on this tape because Anti is such a bombastic album. I thought that all the beats were gonna be like that, and this one just doesn't seem to fit for me.
Yeah, I get you. I think for the song he sampled, when I heard that, like Rihanna's actual just version, I think that was a song I wasn't really a fan of, as much. It's one of those things where, like you said, it's not poppy, I guess you could say certain songs like that I've heard, especially from Rihanna's album. I'm just like, it's just not for me because I know the audience it's going towards. Like, who's it going to? Some of them songs they have that mainstream appeal where it's like, hey, this is my sad song that this is the song you listen to when you're upset and bothered, but it brings you that hope for the future type thing. Like, hey, like I'm upset and I'm down, but when you're not in the mood for like a ballad or something like that, you're not going to really enjoy it. So this is one of them songs where I can see if you're not in the mood for it, you might not like it. You gotta kind of like be in that zone for it. So for Rihanna's and Charles's, so I can understand that completely.
The tape ends with Brand New Person. Now, for my review's sake, I will tell you that Same Old Mistakes is my favorite song on Anti. I love that song. I love that beat. I love those verses. I love that. I love that entire song. Yeah. So Charles was on a uphill battle from jump with this song. I like the hook. The hook's really good. It completes that story that that I feel like the last third of the tape is kind of telling. I just wish I had liked the rest of the song. Like even the flip is like, it's cool. It's you kind of, I would think he would do something different to it, like even make it even more kind of Hamiltonized or whatever. The verses are okay. I just, again, the hook is the best part of the song. Again, it's just one of those things where it was gonna be hard for him to outdo the original, and because I really, really love the original. It's like one of my favorite songs of probably the last 10 years. I think I honestly think, oh, I might be right. I might be right. I might be wrong. But I feel like it's a Tame Impala kind of remake or something like a ode to Tame Impala or something. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it was gonna be tough for Charles to kind of outdo this one. So for me, it kind of just, it's like a not a wet firecracker, but one of those smaller firecrackers that you have or whatever to end the tape. It's like one of those, nothing to really finish off with like a grand finale.
Right. For me, hearing this, I actually have the opposite opinion for the beat. I'm cool with the beat. Now I heard Same Old Mistakes, and I like what the beat was like on that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I listened to it and I'm like, the way he like sped it up a little bit and he kept it simple. That's kind of like what I mean by like what he did with the Desperado flip. You know what I mean? He really didn't do too much with it. And like I said, me personally, sometimes I'm okay with that. Don't do too much with it. Just you might have to speed it up or slow it down a little bit, add your stuff in there, rap on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, that's a personal gripe for me. Like when you do too much with it. So with this, it's a little bit more simpler, and I'm cool with it. So I like the beat, I like the flow. Um, he mentions in the beginning, not writing, not having the right, just gonna, go off the top of the head and all that. We talked about it before, and I'll say it again. When Charles does this and he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to write. I don't need to write. I'll go left, so I don't write. And it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. As long as you're not just overdoing it, and I guess you stay on topic or whatever, then it's completely fine. I think with
Mm-hmm.
the flow and the verses, he's doing great with it. Like he's clear, concise, and he's not rambling on here. 'Cause I think that's what his biggest issue is when he wants to freestyle or write in his head. Sometimes you'll listen to the song, you'll hear the hook and all that, and then you get the idea of the song, and then he'll just trail off. Like he'll still be rhyming, but it's just like it just sounds like you're rhyming to just rhyme. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're not really talking about anything of substance. You're just rapping just to rap.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, yeah, it sounds good. If I'm not really paying attention, it sounds good. It's all right. But other than that, it's like, what are you really saying? What are you really talking about? So for me, I like the beat. I like the verses. The hook, I'm okay with the hook. I think it's because it's similar to the original, when Rihanna's doing that. But I feel like there could have been like a little bit more emotion in there. And the reason I think that I'm kind of okay with it is
Mm-hmm.
because near the end of this project, like it sounds like he's wanting to change, and like you said, the whole butterfly thing, like he's wanting to change and get out of where he's at. And it's like he's a little depressed and bothered, but it's like, hey, I'm starting to feel a change within myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling better about myself. So it's like I can kind of hear him wanting to change, but at the same time, it's like I'm still down in the dirt, but I know change is coming. So I kind of like let him slide with that. So I'm like, it's all right. Um, my biggest thing I want to say is where was this all project though? I think that's my issue because like
Mm-hmm.
love the beat, love like what he was rapping, how he was rapping, and I'm like, I wish there was a little bit more of this on the project because of how, like you said, up and down, and I'm like, this second half, I enjoy a lot more than the first half. I guess you say. I know it's only 7 songs, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if it was a little bit more consistent like this, you know what I mean? Then I'm like, okay, would have been better off. But I'm like, damn. Um, I guess I'll just say this now. Um, the equivalent, I said like when I get to this, I'm like, I'm ready to hear more because after I hear this song, I'm like, I'm ready to hear more, and then I'm like, oh, the tape's over.
Yeah.
Man. You know what I mean? I'm like, one of those things like I just expected more. You know what I mean? And like since the tape's over, it's like, all right, well, like how it started off and then how it ended, it definitely ended better than it started. But I'm like, I guess that's it. So that's kind of where I could leave it at. You feel me? So I'm like, I like the song. I do like that song.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the so you said your top three. So my top three would be I Let You Go, Brand New Person, and I'd probably say what karaoke. Those would be my top three. Those like that's the later
That
half.
last three. Yeah.
We're not last three. Well, it's
Well, skip one. Yeah.
4, 5, and 7, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that's my top three. Like I said, it's like I like the last half of the tape compared to the first half. You feel me? So,
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting. I do understand what you're saying though. Like as far as like it feels like the 6 songs prior um had bits and pieces of stuff that you liked in there, and then you get to this last song, it's like it kind of puts it all together. And then like, all right, cool. Now we're finally about to get knee deep in the tape, but the tape is over, right? So like this last song kind of leads you to want more of whatever this was. And I would like to know what tapes came, like maybe a couple tapes that came before this and maybe a couple tapes after this to kind of get a sense of where he was creatively. Like what came after this tape? Was he in the same type of vibes and like same thing before? Because it seems like, you know, people do like 2016 as a year, especially that 2014, 2015, 2016 like time period. But there are a lot of good tapes there. It's just like you have to find them. Like you have to actually go out search for like, have you heard this? And there are a lot of tapes that people have been saying like, oh, have you heard this? I'm like, nah. And then you ask what year it is, and it's like, oh, like 2016, 2017. Like, oh, it was hard to find the tapes that you were looking for because you would listen to a few and you're like, this just ain't for me. Let me wait a couple more tapes and come back in. So yeah, I do understand what you mean by that. It's one of those things where it's like you wish he would did not copy and paste, but more stylistically that last song. Before we do our rating and review, man, I do have a fun question for you. It's a two-parter. Number one, would you be would you take to the idea of doing a tape dedicated to a muse? And if so, who would be your top three muses for a Mike Jackson tape?
I think so. Would I do something for a muse? Like when we say a muse, I know what that is, but like, are we just doing celebrities, or it could be like anybody?
Let's keep it celebrity so we can keep it where it's like it's kind of unrealistic.
Okay, cool. I would say me now, probably not, but like years ago, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I could see myself doing something like that just
Mhm.
because of like who I've sampled and then like just stuff I've done. And I think about it, I'm like top three people I would pick. It would probably be like, I guess, childhood or teenage crushes, you know? So like I probably would have had Rihanna as one, but then I
Mhm.
probably would have taken her off once Charles came out with the Awkward series. I'm like,
Right.
now I want to do that just because now it just seems like I'm completely biting him. You feel
Right.
me? So I'm like, now I gotta pick somebody else. One I definitely could say would be probably would pick Christina Aguilera just because I think I've sampled her the most out of everyone. Like I have like this one song, her one song, somebody's baby. No, somebody's somebody. I sampled that like three times in three different ways. I think I've sampled like three other songs by her. So I think
Mhm.
I've sampled like 6 or 7 songs by her, Charles standards, that's probably just like amateur numbers, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I normally don't go to the well that much for somebody, Rihanna, I think I've only sampled her like maybe 2 or 3 times. If I was to do somebody, two other people, mm, ah, I don't know because there's been other women I've sampled and all that type of stuff like a couple of times. I think I would if I was to pick two other people, it'd probably be like 90s pop artists and stuff like that or R&B artists. I can't think of it, two other people right now, but I'm just going with just one, just say Christina Aguilera. So
All right. That's nice. Not bad though. I mean, I feel like I didn't realize that you had sampled her so much, but I could see why though. She's a great. I feel like she's a great choice for a sample.
especially because with her music, it was like what was it Britney, Christina, Jessica Simpson, Mandy Moore,
Mhm.
those were like the four pop white girls of that time, of that era. And out of all of them, Christina was the one that had like the most soul song sounds. Like
Right.
she was pop, but she had more R&B stuff compared to everybody else. Everyone else was like pop and maybe something else. Britney Spears had her little pop and rap few stuff when she worked with the Neptunes, but I feel like Christina she has those ballads. Like she definitely like can sing
There
compared
we
to.
go. I was just waiting for you to say that. She can
Oh yeah, of
actually sing.
course. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how I'm rocking with it.
All right. All right. Um, we'll review Anti Hamilton, man. We got to give it our rating. So give us your rating, give us any pros and cons that you have, and then give us the character rating that you want to give it, man.
All right. So overall with this tape, I had some notes about it, like I said. Certain beats I'm surprised by, you know what I mean? Because how he flipped them. There's certain beats he flipped. I'm like, oh, he went crazy on this one. Or like he went simple with it and I'm cool with it. Sometimes the mixing of certain songs wasn't as great, and I'm like, So I figured there's certain songs I just figured I would love them more, and then I ended up not really enjoying them as much. And then other ones I'm like, he did exactly what he needed to do. We've said this before. Charles normally does well with Rihanna samples just because of like his history and how he felt about her.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue, I said in the beginning, the first half of the project, I'm like, ah. And I think I realized what it is, so I can explain it probably better than I maybe have before in the past. Like the first song, Reassurance Policy, like the flow, sometimes the flow or how Charles is rapping, people have explained it as, you know, he's tired or he's not trying, and that's where that whole focus thing comes from. So I kind of feel that way because it's just like, yeah, like he doesn't necessarily sound tired, but compared to like the energy, and I've said that before, the energy he has, it's like just the energy is just different, So it's
Yeah.
one of those things where um near the end of the tape, it's like, okay, he sounds like he's paying attention more, like he's more focused and ready to speak about the issues or whatever he's talking about on these songs. Um, some of it, like I said, the some of it sounds like I guess rushed a little bit. Maybe that's what it is too, because Anti came out in like January. This tape came out in March. So it could have been him just like, all right, well, I'm gonna knock this tape out real quick. And it's like sometimes that works against Charles because he has a lot of times been about quantity more than quality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's hurt him more in the last couple years, where it's like, okay, we know you can work fast and put out multiple tapes, but will they sustain? Will this be something that we can come back to and be like, yeah, I really love this tape when it came out with so many other tapes in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what this tape sounds like in the beginning, Charles is like, getting in a car, about to drive off, go somewhere, stuck in first gear. Can't really, get out of the mud. Can't really get out of where he's going. Then near the end of the tape, he finally gets out, gets in the first gear, second gear, then it's over. So it's just
Yeah.
like stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. You know what I mean? It's like sputtering, all that. So I'm like, man, I would say, I know Charles has talked about this before. I think what he needs to focus on is, and he's doing it now a lot better now. Like, of course, you can just knock songs out, but you don't need to knock them out. Just, of course, you work on music a lot. I would say, maybe take more time with the projects. You feel me? Take more time with them. Um, he might not even rush this, but like I said, it's just the last it feels like his thoughts in the beginning of the tape were kind of everywhere, and like there's things there, but like I said, just out of order, like out of place. The
Mm-hmm.
last couple songs, like it sounded like he sat down, focused on what he wanted to talk about, put it out there, nice and neat. You know what I mean? Like he typed it out, and put it together and gave it as a report. Compared to the other songs, I got like 30 minutes to hurry up and write this essay.
Yeah.
Hurry up. You see scratches and all that, and then he handed the paper because it's like, bro, I can't fail this class. Let me hurry up and just put this out real quick. So
Yeah.
I think it's more of a the quantity versus quality type thing, and like it seems kind of rushed. At first, I was going to give this a Robotnik because I was like, man, like this, I don't think I'm going to be rocking with this tape. But
Mm-hmm.
over the couple listens I had, I'm like, I definitely like at least like 2 to 3 of the songs that I would come back to. I would definitely come back to I'll Let You Go. I will always come back to that song. I definitely really like that one. The two other ones I said that would be my top three. I wouldn't come back to them as much, but I do like them though. I would probably check them out after I check out I Let You Go again. I don't know how many times I would come back to this tape in the future, but it I can't give it a Robotnik because of that. I at least like at least 2 to 3 of the songs. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it the Mechasonic 2. Tape's okay. There's better tapes out there, I feel, that I'm like you said, he's done certain things a little bit better. But overall, tape's okay. For 7 songs, I like how he flipped certain things, but like the quality, some of the quality is just missing to me. So overall, Mechasonic 2.
Yeah. This tape is, I like how you say quantity versus quality. I feel like the thing, somebody made a great comparison recently in one of the group chats or one of the chats that we're in, right? And it was that CH and Currency are kind of the same in the sense that they do have a lot of product. Now, Charles has a way more product, but we'll get to that in a minute, right? But they both push out a lot of mixtapes. If you look at their total tape output, they're higher than a lot of other artists, right? I think the difference between those two is that Currency isn't dropping as frequently. So you can tell he takes his time with certain things. It feels like he pushes out things when he after he's gone over them multiple times, right? So like there's never really a quote unquote quality issue with Currency. Where CH is, we love that he has a high output, right? We love that because like more music is more music. You never have to worry about like, oh, Charles has been gone for a year. You never really have to, unless he's in trouble. But like you never have to worry about that portion of being a fan of Charles, right? I think the roadblock is that when he does have this high output thing, and you listen to a tape, sometimes it feels like he did it in like a day or even less, right? Like, oh, he went and knocked this out in 3 hours, but you can easily tell it. And this kind of feels like a rush job where, oh, Anti just dropped. Let me do a tape around Anti. And like you said, the tape feels sporadic. Like it's like I said, it's like a roller coaster. Now I can't give it a Knuckles because I feel like it's not to that level of a tape because I've the because of the tapes I have given Knuckles, I can't give it Knuckles. I'm also like you. I was close to giving a Robotnik, but I gave it a listen again before we reviewed today, and Considered and Can't I Let You Go are two good songs. And even what was it? Say What Karaoke was the other one.
Yeah.
I like even that when I was like, there's bare bones here where I'm like, I can see myself, listening to this again if it was on shuffle, right? But the rest of the tape just falls short for me. So I'm with you. I'm gonna give it a Mecha Sonic 2 because I'm positive, especially if you just even if you just base it off of, it's a Rihanna ode tape. We definitely know there's better Rihanna ode tapes, right? So like that's easy to just pinpoint immediately. But even if we're just talking about, oh, he's doing a tape that's 7 songs and has crazy flips on it, I've heard better of those, right? So I'm gonna come back to a couple songs. I still suggest to everybody if you listen to it once, if you had to. I just me personally don't see many people maybe going back to this one as often as other tapes.
I get you on that. I did see some comments, of course, on this, certain songs. Oh, the beat on here was fire, or
Right.
I love what he did with this, but overall, other than us getting the recommendation for this tape, I don't think I've heard too many Star Chasers talk about this tape as much. It might just be like um a tape that most Star Chasers maybe haven't heard, or maybe they like as well, but I haven't heard the hubbub about it basically.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some people that like it, some people that might not, but we could always be wrong. I will say this: I'm glad I listened to it because, especially multiple times, because this podcast, this project, as you want to call it, it challenges us to make sure we're actually listening and not just one and done. Nope, didn't like it. Oh well. It's like nah, because Charles does a good job with certain songs where they do have to grow on you, but at the same time, when you don't like a Charles song, you don't like it. But there's like I said, bare bones there on certain songs where it's like, all right, there's stuff here, just
Mm-hmm.
you work around it and then you kind of find what you like. But there's definitely better. But hey, we just have an opinion. You guys have an opinion too, so let us know.
Yeah. Definitely go listen to the tape and then let us know how you feel about Anti Hamilton, man. What are some of your favorite songs? Let us know your favorite Rihanna song, man. That's always fun to know too because she is a superstar. Um, Be sure to follow us on Twitter, StarCH Central, and subscribe to the YouTube, StarChaser Central. You can also follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54 on Twitter and Instagram, STIK around 54. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, Mike D Jackson, Mike D-E-E Jackson. That's 1 D, 2 E's. Make sure you guys are following Charles Hamilton on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Make sure you're subscribed to him on YouTube at the talented Mr. Hamilton, where he does his lives. He drops music, from time to time. Lives are obviously on Fridays. Sometimes he might do an extra live. You never know, but you need to be subscribed to him so you can see him. Also, don't forget, if you are not in tune with him, he has a blog, so make sure you are checking out the blog at enterthehamilton.blogspot.com. So many damn blogs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Charles, please, I hope you don't delete any other blogs or anything else. Um, please don't, because you got too many. You got too many, and there's still other ones we don't talk about. But of course, make sure you guys are following Charles on any updates and news. So there it is.
Yeah, he just, as of this recording, he debuted a new alias, Charles, spelled with the X this time. That's how it's pronounced. I'm gonna be honest, the mask is a little bit much for me, but the music he was playing during was actually kind of fire. It sounded very bouncier, and gave me that old 1970s, New York hip hop vibe, and I like that. So I'm excited to hear that, going forward. Let us know what you want us to review. Like I said, we're when you tell us one, we are putting them down. Mike is. We are definitely putting them down. Um, so we can, get to it. But like Mike said, if you haven't seen it, don't feel like we're ignoring you. We probably either it's on our list or on the schedule, or we've already recorded it and we're on a schedule as far as release dates. So just stay tuned. Just keep rocking with us. We appreciate all the subscribers, all the people commenting, all the chats that we have. Shout out to the Discord, man. The Discord, which we didn't create, but who created that? Do we know?
I'll be honest. I don't want to say the wrong name, so I won't.
Yeah.
But
You know who you are.
yeah, I know Multiply. I believe he's the one that, like, he does like the, not the creator maybe, but if he is, like, he definitely has a lot of stuff where he's like, okay, I'm in charge. He at least say he's in charge of it. He's one of the people in charge of it. If
He's like
there's,
a mod or whatever.
yeah, so
Shout out to Pete Discord. Discord is very hopping. We get a lot of comments. Mike's really active in there. I pop in every now and again for some fun stuff. So shout out to y'all. I was on my phone just now, bro. DoorDash is kind of disrespectful. DoorDash was disrespectful to you recently by giving you what was it? Giving you a discount code and then immediately
taking it
snatching
back.
that.
Taking it back. They said, hey, you recently had we had a mistake, and we want to give you a certain, blah 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 for your next thing. I'm like, all right, cool. And I see another email. Yeah, sorry about that. We didn't mean to send that to you. So yeah, just ignore that. And then I found out other people were like, yo, they sent that to me too. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, yeah, how do you just like retake something back? Like, I think once you offer that, it's like, nah, like, if you made the mistake, own up to the mistake. Just, hey man, you just gotta give people free stuff. But I'm not gonna be a Karen about it. I just let it go,
Man.
fuck it.
Well, they were disrespectful to me because DoorDash gives notifications on your phone. Sometimes they have to suggest where suggest places to eat. I'm like, cool, that's fine. So this notification came up on my phone. You know what that shit said?
What?
It said taste Captain D's. I was like, my nigga, that's crazy.
Damn. That
I was
that
like, bro, that's insane.
they ain't never do that to me, and I think they know better. You know what I mean? I'm definitely,
Bro, that's crazy. I'm about to delete it off my phone. I can't be being disrespected like that.
you might have to go to Grubhub or something like that, something
That
else.
sounds wild too. I don't like how that say, yo, go to Grubhub. That don't even sound right, bro. Nah.
You ain't trying to grub on their hub?
Yeah, nah, that's crazy. But yeah, be sure to let us know, man. Yeah, I mean, we're closing in on not only like 50 episodes in the next 10, or less than 10 now by the time we drop this, but we're also getting closer to the 1 year anniversary in a few months. So we gotta start thinking about what we want to do for that. I personally think we should do either our personal top 20 songs or top 20 albums, or we can make it 10, whichever one is easier to you.
Um, I'm down with either or. When we get closer to it, we'll definitely have it figured out. But either or sounds good to me. So
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
Um, Other than that, man, you have any words for the people before we leave out?
Um, Other than the usual, appreciate you guys, especially in the Discord. Appreciate you guys on Twitter, on YouTube, wherever you guys are watching, listening from. Just, keep rocking with us. Like I said, we're going to make sure that we continue this. Make sure we keep Charles Hamilton's name in these streets, in this industry, whatever you want to call it. So thank you guys. So that's it.
Absolutely. This video was sponsored by Celsius. No. Be, be sure to enjoy yourselves, man. Have a great day. We are logging out of the Star Chaser Central podcast, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.
I let you go. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't receive it. I couldn't believe it. I let you go. Now could you believe it? I'm at your door, asking for more. Maybe it's more. Let's explore together. So this is what